There's a boy in the girls' bathroom, chapter 9. Bradley Chalkers, what are you doing out of class? It was a teacher. Bradley didn't know her, but it seemed as though every teacher in the school knew him. I got a hall pass, he told her. Let me see it. He showed it to her. Mrs. Ebel gave it to me. Go ask her if you don't believe me. Where are you going? Library, he said, to get a book. Okay, but make sure you go straight to the library. No detours, Bradley. He had lied. He wasn't even allowed to check out books out of the library. The door to the counselor's office was open, so he walked right in. I'm here, he announced. What do you want? Carla smiled warmly at him. Hello, Bradley, she said. I'm Carla Davis. It's a pleasure to see you today. She held out her hand. I've been looking forward to meeting you. He was amazed by how young and pretty she was. He had been expecting an ugly old bag. She had sky blue eyes and soft blonde hair. She wore a white shirt covered with different colored squiggly lines, like some kid had scribbled on it. But as he stared at the shirt, he realized that it was made to look that way on purpose. Aren't you going to shake my hand? She asked. No, you're too ugly. He walked past her and sat down at the round table. She sat across from him. I appreciate you coming to see me, she said. I had to come. Miss Ebel made me. For whatever reason, I'm glad you came. I meant to go to the library, he explained. I came here by accident. Oh, I don't believe in accidents, said Carla. You don't believe in accidents? That was the craziest thing he had ever heard. She shook her head. What about when you spill your milk? Do you like milk? Asked Carla. No, I hate it. So maybe you spill it on purpose, she said. You just think it's an accident. She smiled. He stared angrily down at the table. He felt like he had been tricked. I don't drink milk, he said. I drink coffee. He glanced around the room. It was full of all kinds of interesting looking objects. This place is a mess, he said. I know, Carla admitted. I like messy rooms. Clean rooms are boring and depressing. They remind me of hospitals. Don't you get in trouble? Why should I? He didn't know the answer to that, but he knew that if it were his room and it was messy, he'd get in trouble. I didn't do anything wrong, he declared. Nobody said you did. Well, then how come I have to be here? I was hoping you'd like it here, said Carla. I was hoping we could be friends. Do you think we can? No. Why not? Because I don't like you. I like you, said Carla. I can like you, can't I? You don't have to like me. He squirmed in his seat. I was also hoping you'd be able to teach me some things, said Carla. You're the teacher, not me. So that doesn't matter. A teacher can often learn a lot more from a student than a student can learn from a teacher. I've taught Miss Ebel a lot, Bradley agreed. Today I taught her geography. What do you want to teach me? Carla asked. What do you want to know? You tell me, said Carla. What's the most important thing you can teach me? Bradley tried to think of something he knew. The elephant's the biggest animal in the world, he said, but it's afraid of mice. I wonder why that is, said Carla. Because, said Bradley, if a mouse ran up an elephant's trunk, it would get stuck, and then the elephant wouldn't be able to breathe, and so it would die. That's how most elephants die. I see, said Carla. Thank you for sharing that with me. You're a very good teacher. He suddenly felt like he'd been tricked again. He didn't want to share anything with her. He hated her. What else do you want to teach me? She asked. Nothing, he said coldly. You're not supposed to talk in school. Why not? It's a rule, like no sticking gum in the water fountains. Well, in this room, there are no rules, said Carla. In here, everyone thinks for himself. No one tells you what to do. You mean I could stick gum in the water fountain? You could, except I don't have a water fountain. Can I break something? He asked. Certainly. He looked around for something to break, then caught himself in time. It was another trick. He'd break something and then get in trouble, and nobody would believe him, when he said that she had said there were no rules. I'm not in the mood, he said. All right, but if you are ever in the mood, there are a lot of things you can break, things I like very much, and things that other children use. I will, he assured her. I know karate. He raised his hand sideways over the table. I can break this table in half with my bare hand. I'd hate to see you get hurt with your hand. Nothing ever hurts me, he told her. I've broken every table in my house, he declared. The chairs, too. Call my mother if you don't believe me. I believe you, said Carla. Why shouldn't I? You should. She did too. For the rest of the meeting, no matter what he told her, she believed him. When he told her that his parents only fed him dog food, she asked him how it tasted. Delicious, he said, meaty and sweet. I've always wanted to try it, said Carla. When he told her that the president had called him on the phone last night, she asked what they talked about. Hats, he answered right away. Hats? What did you say about hats? I asked him why he didn't wear a hat like Abraham Lincoln. And what did he say? Bradley thought a moment. I can't tell you. It's top secret. Near the end of the session, Carla gave him a piece of construction paper and asked him if he wanted to draw a picture. He chose a black crayon from the big box of crayons and stayed with it the whole time. He scribbled wildly all over the paper. Carla leaned over to look at it. That's very nice, she said. It's a picture of nighttime, he told her. Oh, I thought it was a picture of the floor of a barber shop after someone with black curly hair got its hair cut. That's what it is, Bradley declared. That's what I meant. It's very good, said Carla. May I have it? What for? I'd like to hang it on my wall. He looked at her in amazement. You mean here? Yes. No, it's mine. I was hoping you'd share it with me, said Carla. It costs $1. It's worth it, said Carla. But I only want it if you're willing to share it. No, he said. Okay, but if you ever change your mind, I'll still want it. You can make me give it to you, he suggested. No, I can't. Sure you can. Teachers make kids do things all the time. Carla shook her head. It was time for him to return to class. I've enjoyed your visit very much, said Carla. Thank you for sharing so much with me. She held out her hand. He backed away from it as if it were some kind of poisonous snake. Then he turned and hurried out into the hall. When he got to Miss Ebel's class, he crumpled his picture into a ball and dropped it in the wastepaper basket next to her desk. Chapter 10. Bradley sat at his desk in the back of the room. Last seat, last row. He felt safe there. The counselor had scared him. She was even worse than he had imagined. He looked at Jeff, who smiled at him and then returned to his work. Bradley was glad Jeff was his friend. Jeff and me are a lot alike, he thought. We're both smart. We both hate the counselor. We both like sneaking into girls' bathrooms. Actually, Bradley had never been inside a girl's bathroom. It was something he'd always wanted to do, but he'd never had the courage even to peek into one. But now that he and Jeff were friends, he hoped Jeff would take him inside one. He was dying to know what they looked like. He imagined they were carpeted in gold with pink wallpaper and red velvet toilet seats. He thought girl toilets would look nothing like boy toilets. They'd probably be more like fountains with colored water. So, how'd you like Carla? Jeff asked him after school. They were walking along the sidewalk next to the school building, carrying their raincoats. It was no longer raining. She's weird, he replied. She likes to eat dog food. Jeff made a face. Did she say that? Bradley nodded. She asked me why the president doesn't wear a hat. How am I supposed to know that? Jeff shrugged and said, I don't know. You don't like her, do you? Bradley said. I hate her, said Bradley. Me too, Jeff said. I hate her. Bradley smiled his distorted smile. You want to go sneak in the girls' bathroom? He asked. You mean now? Why not? Now's not a good time, said Jeff. Why not? Jeff thought a moment. There won't be any girls in there now, he said. They all go home to use their own bathrooms. You're right, Bradley agreed. Good thinking. We'll do it tomorrow during recess. Jeff smiled weakly. They walked around the corner of the building. Hello, Jeff, said Lori Weston. Hi, Jeff, said Melinda Birch. Hi, Jeff. Colleen said it so quietly that the F couldn't be heard. They'd been waiting for him to come by. Somehow they found out his name. Hello, hi, Jeff answered, blushing. Lori laughed. Then the three girls hurried away. Stupid girls, said Bradley. Yeah, muttered Jeff. I hate them, said Bradley. Me too, said Jeff. Why'd you say hello to him? They said hello to me first, Jeff replied. So? Jeff shrugged. Whenever anyone says hello to me, I always say hello back. Why? I don't know. I can't help it. It's like when someone says thank you. You don't automatically say you're welcome. No. I do, said Jeff. He shrugged again. I guess it's like a reflex. Like when you go to the doctor and he taps your knee and you have to kick. You can't help it. It's the same thing. When someone says hello to me, I always have to say hello back. Bradley tried to make sense out of what Jeff said. I know what you can do, he suggested. The next time one of the girls say hello to you, kick her. Chapter 11. A week later, they still hadn't gone into the girls' bathroom. Jeff always had a good reason why it wasn't the right time. Recess was the wrong time because it would be better to wait until after lunch, after the girls had eaten. Lunch was no good because they hadn't had time to digest their food. Listening to Jeff, it would seem that the girls never had to go to the bathroom. But Bradley had never been happier. He was thrilled to have a friend. He was even beginning to like school. Jeff had 2 gold stars next to his name. Bradley felt proud when he looked at them, almost like he had earned them himself. What do you want to do? Jeff asked. Nothing, said Bradley. It was lunchtime. They had finished eating and they were sitting on the grass. Did the counselor say anything stupid today? Bradley asked. Jeff hesitated. He looked down at the ground, then boldly stated, I like her. Bradley was shocked. She said that I can like her even if you hate her, Jeff asserted. It doesn't mean that you and I can't still be friends. We don't have to agree on everything. She said friendships are stronger when everyone has different opinions to share. You told her I hated her? Bradley asked. Jeff nodded. Good. Except she didn't believe me, said Jeff. She's weird, said Bradley. She never believes anything anyone says. I'm not going to see her anymore. She said you don't have to. I told her you wouldn't show up today, and she said that was okay. She said you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. Bradley turned and looked toward the school in the direction of the counselor's office. That's one of her tricks, he said. So, what do you want to do? Jeff asked. Nothing. A basketball bounced away from the basketball court, rolled up toward them. Jeff jumped up and grabbed it. Hey, fish nose over there, called Robbie, a boy from their class. Kick it the other way, urged Bradley. Jeff threw the ball all the way on a fly to Robbie. You should have kicked it on the roof, said Bradley. Maybe they'll let us play, said Jeff. Let's ask them. Bradley shook his head. No, I don't want to. Jeff watched the boys play basketball for a moment, then sat down with Bradley. Uh-oh, said Bradley. Here comes those girls again. Try not to say hello to them. Hello, Jeff, said Lori. Hello, said Jeff. Hi, said Melinda. Hi, said Jeff. Hi, Jeff, whispered Colleen. Hi, whispered Jeff. Lori laughed as all 3 girls walked away. Jeff shrugged. I can't help it, he said sadly. Let's go beat 'em up, said Bradley. They won't say hello to you anymore. He started after them, but Jeff didn't follow. Come on, Bradley urged. Girls are easy to beat up. You just have to hit them once, and they cry and run away. Not now, said Jeff. Why not? Everyone will see us. We'll get in trouble. Bradley stopped. You're right, he agreed. We'll get 'em after school. I can't, said Jeff. I've got to go right home after school and do my homework. Bradley was beginning to get fed up. How come you're always doing your homework? He asked, hands on hips. He said the word homework the way other people might say the word manure. Jeff shrugged. Do you like doing it? Bradley asked. It's okay. I don't mind too much. Bradley kicked at the ground. Do you think if I did my homework, Miss Ebel might give me a gold star? He asked. I don't think she gives us gold stars just for doing homework, said Jeff, but she might. Maybe I should do it sometime, said Bradley. Why don't you come over after school today, Jeff asked, and we can do our homework together. Bradley's face twisted in anguish. Today? I don't think today's a good day to do homework. I can help you, Jeff started to say, then stopped. You can help me with stuff I don't understand. All right, said Bradley. I'll do it. Good, said Jeff. First, we'll beat up those girls, said Bradley. Then we'll go to your house and do our homework. Chapter 12. Just before the end of lunch period, someone knocked very lightly on the counselor's door to her office. Come in, said Carla. A girl timidly stepped inside. Are you Miss Davis? She asked. Yes, but I prefer to be called Carla. Do I have to tell you my name? Asked the girl. Not if you don't want to. Colleen Varigold, said the girl. She sat down in one of the chairs around the round table and said, I don't know who to invite to my birthday party. Carla remained standing. See, there's a boy I want to invite, said Colleen. Do I have to tell you his name? No. Jeff Fishkin. Carla smiled. But if I invite Jeff, then I'll have to invite another boy, because I can't invite 7 girls and only 1 boy, can I? I don't, except Jeff only has 1 friend, and he's the most horrible, rotten boy in the whole school. I can't invite Bradley Chalkers to my birthday party. I just can't. She took a breath. So, what should I do? You want me to tell you whom to invite to your birthday party? Lori says you're good at solving problems. Lori solves her own problems. I just help her think for herself. But I don't know what to think, Colleen exclaimed. I can't invite 7 girls and only 1 boy, and I can't invite Bradley. When's your birthday? November 13th. You still have plenty of time, said Carla. Let me give you a form for your parents to sign. Right now, I'm not even allowed to talk to you without your parents' permission. That's dumb. No, it isn't, said Carla. Some parents don't want strangers giving advice to their children. But my parents won't care, said Colleen. They said I can invite anyone I want to my birthday party. That's not the point, said Carla. She handed her the form. Colleen reluctantly took it. Can't you just whisper it to me? She asked. Carla shook her head. Melinda and Lori were waiting for Colleen when she came out. Who are you going to invite? Asked Melinda. Not Bradley, said Lori. Please, not Bradley. I don't know yet, said Colleen. She won't tell me until my parents sign this form. Chapter 13. Bradley dragged his feet as he walked to Carla's office. She was waiting for him in the hall. It's a pleasure to see you today, she said. I appreciate you coming to see me. She held out her hand. He stepped past her and sat down at the round table. She sat across from him. The reason the president doesn't wear a hat is because the doorways are too low, he said. He used to wear one, but every time he walked through a door, he'd hit his hat and it would fall on the floor. That makes sense, Carla agreed. Thank you for sharing with me. But, she whispered, I thought you weren't allowed to tell me such top secret information. The president says he trusts you, said Bradley. Thank you, Bradley, said Carla. I'm glad you trust me. He looked at her as if he thought she were deaf. He didn't say he trusted her. He said the president trusted her. But he decided to let it go. She was wearing a yellow shirt with a large green triangular buttons all the way down the front. On one side of the buttons was a big white exclamation point. On the other side, there was a big white question mark. Jeff trusts you too, he said. I understand you two have become friends, said Carla. We're best friends. That's wonderful, said Carla. Today after school, we're going to do our homework together at his house. I'm going to help him with stuff he doesn't understand. That's very nice of you, said Carla. I'm sure Jeff appreciates you having you as a friend. I'm his only friend, said Bradley. But even if he had other friends, he won't have other friends, Bradley interrupted. You don't know that. Yes, I do. I'm his only friend. But suppose he makes new friends. I don't want him to. But if he made new friends, then his new friends would become your friends too. He won't, said Bradley, shaking his head. Just because you and he are friends, that doesn't mean he can't have other friends too, said Carla. Yes, it does. Why? Because, he said proudly, so long as Jeff is friends with me, nobody else will like him. Chapter 14. Homework. After school, Bradley Chalkers was going to go to Jeff Fishkin's house and they were going to do their homework together. Bradley couldn't believe it. Homework. It was all he thought about as he sat at his desk, last row, last seat, and waited for the school to end. Maybe it won't be too horrible, he reasoned. After all, Jeff always does his homework. He must like it. The more he thought about it, the more he liked the idea. Homework. Work you do at home. Except he wouldn't do it at his home. He would do it at Jeff's home, and that was even better. It'd be his first time over at Jeff's house. And after he did his homework, Mrs. Ebel might give him a gold star. Instead of scribbling, he drew little stars, one after another, until the bell rang. But first, they had to go beat up those girls. Come on, let's go, he said, hopping out of his seat. Just a sec, said Jeff. He got a book from his desk. Oh, do I need one of those? Bradley asked. He hadn't realized that in order to do his homework, he would need to bring his book home. That's okay. We can share mine. They walked outside. There was a light drizzle. They're in Mrs. Sharp's class, said Bradley. We can wait here until they come out and then sneak up behind them. Who? Those girls. We have to beat them up so they won't say hello to you. We should probably get started on our homework right away, said Jeff. It won't take long, Bradley assured him. You just have to hit them once, and they cry and run away. But it's raining, said Jeff. It was barely misting. Good. We can push them in the mud and get their clothes dirty. Girls hate it when their clothes get dirty. They stood about 10 yards away from Mrs. Sharp's door and waited. Several kids came out, but they didn't see Colleen, Lori, or Melinda. Maybe they've already gone home, Jeff said hopefully. No, girls always take a long time to leave class, Bradley explained. First, they have to put their papers neatly in their notebooks. Then they have to mark their places in their books and put all their pencils in their pencil holders. Then they put everything away neatly in their desks. He said it as though it was the most disgusting thing anyone could ever do. Shh, here they come. Melinda, followed by Colleen and Lori, came out of Mrs. Sharp's room. Bradley put his fingers to his lips. Then he and Jeff walked after them, keeping their distance. They followed the girls around the side of the building and along the sidewalk away from the school. Let's just go home, said Jeff. The homework might take a long time. Girls kick, warned Bradley. They don't know how to punch, so they will try to kick you. He quickened his pace until he was just a few steps behind the girls. Jeff lagged a little behind. Lori was the first to turn around. Ew, Bradley Chalkers, she said, making a face. Lori Loudmouth, snapped Bradley, the ugliest girl in school. Melinda and Colleen stopped walking and turned around too. Grow up, Bradley, said Melinda. Make me, he replied. Hello, Jeff, Colleen said very quietly. Hello, said Jeff. Quit saying hello to him, said Bradley. It's a free country, said Lori. We can say hello. Not to us, said Bradley. We didn't say hello to you, said Lori. Just him. Hello, Jeff. Hello, said Jeff. Lori laughed. Why don't you just leave us alone, Bradley? Said Melinda. No, you leave us alone first, Bradley said. He pushed Melinda. She pushed him back. He pushed her again. She shoved him off the sidewalk. He slipped on the wet grass and fell to the ground. Lori laughed hysterically. Bradley scrambled angrily to his feet. You got my clothes dirty. Bradley wet his pants, teased Lori, hiding behind Melinda. Shut up, he yelled. You started it, said Melinda. I'll punch your face in, said Bradley. He shook his fist at her. Melinda raised her fists in the air. He charged toward her, then kicked her in the leg. She slugged him in the face with all her might. Bradley stumbled backward and almost fell again, but he caught his balance. He glared at Melinda, his eyes swelled with tears. No fair! 4 against 1, he shouted. Then he ran home crying. Chapter 15. My poor baby, said Bradley's mother as she wrapped her massive arms around him. He had stopped crying shortly after he ran away from Melinda, but started again when he saw his mother. They beat me up and threw me in the mud, he sobbed. His mother wiped his face with a tissue she kept rolled up in her shirt sleeve. Come on, she said, and led him by the hand down the hall to the bathroom. You'll take a nice warm bath, put on clean clothes, and feel as good as new. Claudia was in the bathroom combing her hair. What happened to him? Some bullies picked on him after school. There were 4 of them, said Bradley, and they ripped up my homework, too. You've been crying, Claudia accused. It's the rain, said Bradley. Claudia started to say something, but her mother told her to leave the bathroom. She laid out clean clothes on the bathroom counter, then started the water. After his bath, Bradley went into his bedroom. He was just in the nick of time. Ronnie Rabbit was romping across the bed, singing doo-dee, 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 when suddenly she was lost. Where am I? She asked. Suddenly, 3 bad guys were chasing her. They were 2 of spades, the 9 of hearts, and the king of diamonds. The king of diamonds was the leader of the bad guys. After her, he yelled. Help! Called Ronnie. She ran to the edge of the bed. The cliff! She was trapped. The floor was 1,000 feet below. The bad guys moved in for the kill. Let me go! She shouted, then fell off the bed onto the floor. But that was an accident. Bradley picked her up and put her back on the edge of the bed. It never happened. There was time out. What are you going to do to me? Asked Ronnie, trembling on the edge of the cliff. We're going to kill you, said the king of diamonds. Oh, no, you're not, said a voice from behind. It was Bartholomew. Get him, boys, ordered the king of diamonds. The cards attacked. Bartholomew punched the 2 of spades in the stomach, then flipped him over his head and over the cliff. Ah! The 2 spades yelled as he fell 1,000 feet to his death. Next, Bartholomew beat up the 9 of hearts. Go join your friend, he said as he threw him over the cliff too. Ah! Cried the 9. Now only the king of diamonds was left. He came at Bartholomew swinging an axe. I'll chop off your head, he sneered. Bartholomew ducked, then kicked the axe out of the king's hand and punched his face in. He threw the king over the cliff too. Ronnie ran over to Bartholomew. You saved my life, she said. I know, said Bartholomew. They kissed. Claudia walked into the room. Mom's making cookies because you got beat up, she said. Ooh, you're going to have a black eye. I didn't get beat up, Bradley declared. I beat them up. I gave one kid 2 black eyes and another boy 3. You can't give somebody 3 black eyes, said Claudia. Shut up, said Bradley, or I'll give you 4 black eyes. Claudia shrugged and left the room. Bradley got up from his bed and went to the kitchen where his mother was making chocolate chip cookies. She let him lick the spoon. I want the name of those boys who did this to you, she said. I'm going to call your school principal. Bradley thought for a moment. I don't know all their names, he said. Don't be afraid to tell me, said his mother. They won't hurt you anymore. Bradley thought a moment. Jeff Fishkin, he declared. He was the leader of the gang. I'll call the school first thing in the morning, said his mother. Good, said Bradley. I hope he gets in trouble. I hate him.